Good evening and welcome. I'm Eric Masti, Assistant Superintendent of Career Development. Thank you for being here tonight and for taking the time to participate in this important moment for our district and the TF South community. We are excited to be at a point in this process where we can come together to learn more about the potential leaders who may guide TF South into its next chapter. The role of high school principal is one of great responsibility and influence. It shapes the culture of the building, supports the success of students and staff, and helps strengthen the connection between the school and the community it serves. We welcome those who are here in our auditorium and those who are watching as we stream it online. As a district, we remain deeply committed to a thoughtful, transparent, and inclusive selection process. Involving our community, students, families, staff, and residents has been a priority throughout this journey, and tonight's forum is an important part of that commitment. Your voices, questions, and perspectives matter, and they help us ensure that the leader we choose reflects the values and aspirations of TF South. We appreciate your engagement and your continued support as we work together to identify a principal who will build upon the strong foundation already in place and lead TF South forward with vision, integrity, and collaboration. Thank you for being here this evening, and we look forward to a productive and meaningful forum. To help create a positive and respectful experience for all participants this evening, we'd like to review a few ground rules before we begin. Please treat all participants with respect. Questions are submitted in advance and asked by myself, the moderator, only. Candidates will have an equal time to respond. Our audience members should listen quietly and no verbal reactions. Questions and responses must remain professional and focused on the principal role. And the moderator's decisions are final tonight. Thank you for helping create a positive and respectful public forum. Now that we've reviewed the ground rules, let's take a moment to outline the format for this evening. The forum will begin with brief self-introductions from each candidate. Following the introductions, candidates will be asked the same 8 to 10 questions, which were submitted in advance by our community. Our candidates will alternate responses, and each will be given 90 seconds to answer each question. At the conclusion of the prepared questions, we will reserve a short portion of the evening for questions submitted as you entered. We appreciate your cooperation in helping us maintain the structure and flow of tonight's forum. Now I'd like to introduce our 2 candidates. We have Ms. Lisa Manuel and Mr. James Thurman. Mr. Thurman will go ahead and begin with his introductions.
Hello. My name is James Thurman. I am a father, husband, veteran, son, and brother. I am a father of 6. I'm a veteran of the United States Army. My mother, who was an educator for 40 years, is probably watching right now. And I have my daughter, who has also followed me into education, so I'm really proud of her as well. My son is also in the Army. I meant to point that out. So that's who I am personally. Professionally, I went to Southern Illinois University when I completed my enlistment. From Southern Illinois University, where I got a bachelor's in literature, I went to National Louis University, where I got a master's of arts in secondary education. And then I went to Concordia to get a master's in educational leadership. I am finished with all of my coursework at the University of Aurora University, for my doctorate in educational leadership. I have to write my dissertation. And that is me educationally. I have been a teacher. I taught in Chicago Public Schools for 5 years. I was a dean of students at Proviso West, at Proviso East. I was also a dean of students at South Elgin High School, in District U46. I was then an assistant principal at Thornton Township High School. And then I went to the East Coast, where I was a literacy coach in Baltimore City Public Schools, and then the coordinator for literacy coaching in Baltimore City Public Schools. From there, I went to be a resident principal at the historic Paul Laurence Dunbar High School in Baltimore City. And following that, I founded a school called Success Academy West, and that is where I am principal now. And that is me. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lisa Manuel, and first I want to thank the staff, the students, community members, board members, district leaders for welcoming me to your TF South community. Before I ever held the role as principal, I held the role as mom. I am a mother of 4, and that role has shapes my leadership every single day. Being a parent has given me the perspective. It taught me the pride, the worry, and the hope that parents have when they entrust us with their children. When I talk about preparing students for life after high school, I'm not talking in theory. I've been through the process. And I'm speaking as a parent who understands what it means to want every possible door of opportunity open for your child. In addition to that, I'm a sports mom. If you have children in sports, you know that's a different level of dedication. I'm a 20-plus year veteran cheer coach, and I'm also the current proud 12U National Championship cheer coach. What all of that has taught me is that success is never accidental. It takes teamwork, collaboration, and systems that allow everyone to show up and contribute at their highest level. Those personal experiences have shaped my leadership. I understand families because I've created one. I understand teamwork because I've cultivated it. And I understand preparedness because I believe that every student wholeheartedly deserves the opportunity to walk across the stage prepared not just to graduate and receive a diploma, but prepared to thrive after high school. High school leadership has always been my dream. While I've served at the elementary and the middle school levels, this level is the final stretch before adulthood. At this level, this is where students get the confidence, their identity, and we prepare them for the next stage in life. When I worked at the high school level, I didn't start in administration. I started as a paraprofessional. But my principal saw something in me and provided me with opportunities in leadership that changed my trajectory. I had the opportunity to coach, I had the opportunity to sponsor various after-school activities, and I had the opportunity to start my own mentorship. I was honored to have those opportunities. We created a space for student voice, leadership, and connection. And I understood then that not every student needed the same thing, but every student needed a vision. Exposure expands vision, and vision drives direction. At my core, I am a relationship builder and a space maker. I create spaces for students, staff, and families. Now, I'm sure you're like, okay, this sounds good. What does that really mean? What does that look like? For me, that looks like creating a space where students and staff feel safe enough to have a voice, where they can advocate and articulate their wants and their needs. Creating a space where staff and students are responsible for the overall well-being of each other. Creating a space where staff and students pour into the school and into their academics. A space where collaboration takes precedence and unified solutions are created. A space where students and families take pride in being red wolves. So now the question becomes, how do we create a space that benefits staff, students, the district, and the community? We do it by ensuring people feel seen. We do it by ensuring they feel connected. When students and staff feel valued, that energy ripples outward. The love, the structure, the expectations, the accountability, and the dedication we pour into them will fill their cups, and their overflow will pour into others. That is how schools change communities. My vision for TF South is accountability, preparation, and possibility. I see a school where students feel academically challenged, emotionally supported, and proud of who they are and of their school. A school where staff collaborate and celebrate wins and reflect to learn from losses. For students, this means clarity, safety, and opportunities for future success. For the staff, this means voice, shared leadership, and professional respect. For district leaders, this means alignment, accountability, and measurable growth. TF South's diversity is one of its greatest strengths. Diversity gives us multiple lenses through which we learn, lead, and grow. It should not be simply acknowledged, it should be celebrated, woven into our instruction, our culture, and our decision-making daily. And I'm gonna wrap up there because I'm out of time. Thank you.
Thank you both for those wonderful introductions. We will now go ahead and begin the questions that we fielded from our community. And Ms. Manuel, you are up first. Ms. Manuel, how will you invest in our school community by leading teachers, engaging families, partnering with local organizations, and being present to strengthen student learning and belonging?
So for being present, I believe visibility and transparency is important. As the building leader, it's important that the staff sees you, the students see you, the parents and the community sees you. So visibility is going to be key. Leading teachers through PLCs, again, would be another way in professional development. So we would do continuous data cycles to review student data. For engaging families, I know they already have the parent advisory committee in place, and so we want to utilize that. Parent-principal meetings. We have already, I see the multiple events that are happening in the building where I'm sure students and families are welcome. So ensuring that we continue to promote those and that the parents are coming in to participate in those events. As far as working with the community, I'd want a partnership with local businesses, partnership with local organizations. I'm currently a part of IASBO and the Black Principals Network and ILASB. So if you know ILASB, it's the Illinois School Association for Black School Educators. So utilizing those organizations as well to partner with and bring things into the school. As far as, again, working with the teachers, learning walks, data talks, and a principal advisory committee. So for students, I currently have a principal advisory committee. I'm stopped, 90 seconds, sorry.
And Mr. Thurman, how will you invest in our school community by leading teachers, engaging families, partnering with local organizations, and being present to strengthen student learning and belonging?
Thank you. So I think, first of all, being present is super key. When I say being present, I mean being ever present. So that means being at every single event that I can be present at, supporting our school in every single activity, every sport, every club. I'd like to make a schedule so that I can attend. My goal would be to attend at least one of every single event in the building throughout the school year, because I do think it's important that students and parents see that we are supporting our students fully in everything that they do, not just in our academics, but also in all of our other activities. I think when it comes to supporting teachers and leading teachers, it's first identifying through data what the instructional goals should be, and then from there, identifying what the best practice would be for teachers to engage in to drive that instructional goal, and then consistently checking back. So an instructional cycle for sure, but definitely driven by the data. What are our kids telling us that we need to do? And then for local organizations, I joined all of the local organizations that I could, Kiwanis Club, and other business organizations locally. And then being present to strengthen student learning, again, being present in the classroom as well, local observations and walks. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thurman. For our second question, and we will start with you, Mr. Thurman, how would you create and sustain a school culture where all students and staff, regardless of background, feel seen, respected, and supported?
I've raised my kids with the belief that everyone is important, everyone is special, and we are all different. Those differences are what make us special. I think that it's important that every high school student sees themselves throughout their high school career as they try to figure out who they are in the world. I think that high school is where we develop some of our best strengths. We kind of hone those strengths before we move on into the rest of the world. And I think that sustaining a school culture that supports that is constantly highlighting and magnifying and celebrating our differences, as well as kind of sharing with each other the interesting things that make us who we are. So really delving into our diversity is super important, and making sure that everyone is celebrated and every student feels seen.
And Lisa, I'll ask the same question. How would you create and sustain a school culture where all students and staff, regardless of background, feel seen, respected, and supported?
Thank you. So I believe by incorporating culture throughout the school experience, as I kind of alluded to in my speech, that is something we would have to take into account in various capacities. When we're making daily decision making, we need to look at the cultural aspects that it may impact. We want to make sure that the culture is incorporated in the classroom. Do the students see themselves in instruction? We want to make sure that I would meet with the team. We would review 5 essentials data, look at that cultural data. We would look at the academic cultural data. And we would look and meet with the staff and students to identify what's already in place. I see cultural representation when I came in today, but what's in place already? But what do the students and staff feel is missing? And then create a plan to see how do we implement something to support and fill those needs. So, yes, that's what we would do.
Thank you. Lisa, how or why do you believe arts, clubs, activities, and athletics are essential to a student's growth? And how do you see these experiences shaping the culture, engagement, and identity of our school community?
So when I told you a little bit about myself, that is kind of how I started to reach children, through those after-school activities, those clubs, through the arts. Everyone has their own strengths, and while some students may not be academically strong, they may tie into these arts, they may tie into these clubs, and what we want students to do is buy into the school community as a whole. So those will be vital in having a plethora of options. I'm familiar with the anime club that you all have just gotten started, and I know that's all the rave right now. Everything is all anime. I don't know a whole lot about it, but they do. So opportunities, those clubs also provide opportunities for exposure to various things that may not be taught in the classroom, that you may not be exposed to in the classroom. You're probably not talking about anime in your literature course. Maybe you are. Maybe you could be, but you may have more opportunities to have that with these clubs. So when these students want to start clubs, or if teachers see a need for a club that is going to tie into a student need, then that's going to be important.
James, why do you believe arts, clubs, activities, and athletics are essential to a student's growth? And how do you see these experiences shaping the culture, engagement, and identity of our school community?
As a student myself, growing up, I played sports a lot. And so just thinking about sports first, but also there's an aspect of clubs in this. But with sports, you're learning things like perseverance, you're learning things like fair play, you're learning what hard work can get you, right? And you can learn that through sports. But then when you talk about clubs, you're talking about interests, and I think that gets back to kind of the previous question where we're talking about the diversity of the building and being seen. I think also having clubs where all students can participate, so everyone has something that they can participate in. I think the school is where students can participate in positive and safe social activities Whereas, as a parent myself, you're always, our kids go out and they do things and it's fine, but you're still worried always, right? The school is a place where, it should be a place where students can participate in social activities safely and grow from those activities, and then also benefit the rest of the building through those activities. So the enrichment of the building comes from the participation in the building. I also think that engagement in clubs and activities increases engagement in school generally, and therefore students are more likely to meet academic success because they're engaged in school overall.
Thank you. James, how do you reflect on your own cultural identity and biases, build trust with students, families, and staff from diverse backgrounds, and address conflict or bullying in culturally responsive ways?
I think first, acknowledging for me that I am a human with a history and experiences. That's where biases come from. And so acknowledging that I have a history and experiences myself, then I have to understand that who I'm talking to, I need to take at face value. So that's what I do. I make it a focus of mine to understand what people are saying, what is happening, what is the situation that we're dealing with, what is the challenge, or what is the thing that we need to celebrate. But I listen. I think that's the thing that is missing often from our interactions, is listening. What is it that this person is communicating to me, despite who they are, where they've been? Everyone has experiences. In my current school, I have all kinds of experiences that are in my school, and I always tell my students, no one is different in that instance. We're all the same in that we have experiences, and we'll continue moving forward through those experiences. We can move together and work together and benefit each other. And that's how I do. When it comes to conflict or bullying in that comment, it's the same idea, listening to what happened. What is the root cause of this? What are we discussing here? And then from there, thinking about what action to take. Thank you.
Lisa, how do you reflect on your own cultural identity and bias, build trust with students, families, and staff from diverse backgrounds, and address conflict or bullying in culturally responsive ways?
So, to reflect on my own bias, we all have bias because we all have different experiences and different backgrounds. And so we want to ensure that when we're making decisions that we're not making decisions that have been influenced by our own bias, and we're making decisions that are related to the actual situation. As far as building trust with parents, students, families, again, being visible, being approachable, having conversations. Currently, right now, I'm outside in the morning. I'm greeting the students. I'm greeting the parents, so they know who I am. So if they have issues or concerns, they feel comfortable coming to me and sharing those with me. Having those conversations with students. Again, meeting with them, building relationships, talking to them, being open. And for, what was the last part again? I'm sorry. Bullying. As far as addressing bullying, I would meet with both parties individually if it's a two-person situation and get their perspectives. I would try to understand the root cause of the problem, and then if I can, I would bring the parties together to see if we can come to a resolve. I would review the expectations for students and let them know that bullying is not okay, and then we would try to put in some restorative processes so they can move forward and check progress on the students after we've had that mediation.
Thank you, Lisa. How do you hold yourself and your staff accountable when decisions, programs, or behavior negatively affect school culture or student achievement?
So I believe accountability starts with clarity. You want to be clear and set expectations for all the things, for grades, behavior, data, instruction, culture. And when it's not met, we identify what the problem was, and we will collaborate to fix the issue. If there is something that has occurred in the building, whether it's a safety issue occurred, again, what expectations were not met, how did we get to this point, and then what do we need to do to address it and fix it, and we communicate that clearly. Thank you.
Mr. Thurman, how do you hold yourself and your staff accountable when decisions, programs, or behavior negatively affect school culture or student achievement?
I start with thinking about the goal. If we set out to do something and wasn't successful, we have to go back and review what the goal was. I believe that in every decision making, there should be a process, and I think there should be constant checking. Once we've decided this is the way that we're going to go, we should be constantly checking to see if we're heading in the right direction still. Improvement science, I believe that we should be continuously improving this approach, and therefore also checking to see what's working and what's not. If it's not working, then we need to scrap it. If something has gone wrong, then we need to go back and see where it went wrong, and that's why I believe in continuously checking to see, you know, our progress as we go. Are we heading towards this goal? Every time we meet, how close are we to the goal? And are we still heading in that direction? If not, do we need to change course? What needs to change to keep us moving forward in this goal? Is this strategy not working? So it's a constant review of what it is that we're doing and is it working, and not being afraid to say this isn't working, we need to do something different or change direction, but also constantly trying to improve the practices that we have in place.
Thank you, Mr. Thurman. We'll go ahead and start with you. How will you ensure consistent, transparent, and inclusive communication with students, families, and the community, especially during safety concerns, incident, or policy changes?
So I think first, in just general communication, I think that something, regular communication, consistent and clear communication is the key. So for me, there would be a weekly newsletter that kind of detailed all of the things that were important to families and students in the building. So week to week, this is what's happening this week in our building. This is what that will look like. This is how you can participate. Also, I think that signage around the building for students so they know what's happening in the building and what's going on, along with regular announcements and communications. And then in the instances of crises or an emergency, it is calm but clear communication about what is happening, what is the status of our students, and what is the next step. So being clear and calm and communicating as quickly as possible, information for parents and families to support their students in the event of an emergency.
Thank you. Lisa, how will you ensure consistent, transparent, and inclusive communication with students, families, and the community, especially during safety concerns, incidents, or policy changes?
So again, having a communication process already in place where your parents know they'll be receiving the newsletter, where they know they can check the website for updated information and/or the social media page. So making sure that you have those expectations set and you have that in place. And when it comes to safety, again, you want to ensure that the communication is clear, that it is swift, and that it is uniform. You also want to make sure that information, the newsletters, website, what have you, is going out in multiple languages to service all the cultures in the community. We want to make sure that everyone has access to the information that is being shared.
Lisa, we're going to start with you. How will you collaborate with and support teachers, staff, students, and families to build trust, teamwork, and a shared vision while maintaining high expectations and professional support for your faculty?
So trust is built over time, and by cultivating relationships with staff, students, and families is how you'll build trust. That is something that is just ultimately going to take time. You're going to have to be visible. You're going to have to be available. As far as supporting teachers and high expectations while maintaining the professional support for the faculty, doing these continuous data cycles will give us the opportunity to meet with the staff, look at the data, set SMART goals, put an action plan in place, and then we'll progress monitor to see how they're meeting those goals. But being present, being engaged, knowing what's happening in each department is how you'll build trust and transparency, because you're working with the staff. It's not a top-down approach, it's a hands-on approach.
Thank you. Mr. Thurman, how will you collaborate with and support teachers, staff, students, and families to build trust, teamwork, and a shared vision while maintaining high expectations and professional support for your faculty?
I think first, being present, consistently being visible, and participating in everything that is happening in the school, being the champion of the school, is first, and making it clear to everyone that you are here for them in this building. I think also when it comes to teachers, for example, not just feedback, not just giving teachers feedback. I think the consistent feedback is super important if you're trying to change practice or improve practice. But I think that also resources and professional learning are key. So I'm not just giving you, this is what I saw, and then walking away, but also this is how we should be doing these things, and this is how we will do these things. So in my communication with teachers, that's what that would look like. Along with staff, students, and families, it's really a question of how to communicate the vision consistently. This is our goal, and seeking input on that goal. So these are our goals here in this building, seeking consistent input from students, from staff, and from families and teachers around what it is that they would like to see as we go forward on this journey together. I think that also builds trust, and then remaining consistent always. So my conversation is always the same conversation. We're trying to achieve student achievement. We're trying to grow students in both social emotionally and academically. Is this good for kids? Is the question. Is this good for kids? And so if that question is yes, then that's what we're going to go forward with. If no, then not. But we're going to seek input from everybody on all of those decisions. Thank you.
James, what do you see as the biggest challenge facing students today? And how will your experience and understanding of diverse learners guide your approach to supporting them academically, socially, and creatively?
So on one hand, I could say social media, but I think it's really just the outcome, the product of that, which is, I think, is uncertainty about yourself, uncertainty about our futures, even uncertainty about the present. I think for students, that uncertainty is heavy and can be overbearing. So I think it's important that we are preparing students so that they know that they are prepared. I would like my students to be confident in their educations and know when they leave here that they are prepared for whatever's next. And I think that is what we're here to do, is prepare students to not just be productive citizens, I hear that a lot, but to be successful in the way that they see success. We're looking to, we want students to be as successful as they can be in as many ways as possible. I want students to have options when they leave high school, and not just college, but also whatever it is that you'd like to do. I'd like students to be prepared to do those things. And I think that's what alleviates the pressure of our current uncertainty.
Lisa, what do you see as the biggest challenge facing students today? And how will your experience and understanding of diverse learners guide your approach to supporting them academically, socially, and creatively?
So I think the students of today have multiple challenges that they're facing. One of those being the advancement of technology. Technology is changing faster than we can. While they're young and they probably catch on faster than we do, we want to ensure that they're using technology and these resources that are becoming available to them safely, because it's at their fingertips. Social media is something that my generation did not have to deal with growing up. And while it does provide exposure, some of that exposure is good, some of that exposure is bad. And so we want to make sure that we have supports wrapped around students who may be struggling with what comes along with social media as well. As far as diverse learners, I was in a co-taught classroom for 5 years as a teacher, and so that goes down to building relationships with students, identifying what their needs are, whether that's social emotional needs and or academic needs, and then creating systems to wrap around supports around those students to make sure that they're successful as well.
Thank you. Lisa, how will you build on TF South's strengths while expanding opportunities like dual credit courses, vocational pathways, and creative programs to prepare students for college, careers, and life beyond high school?
So if I'm totally honest, I was blown away by the opportunities that are already present here through the dual credit program, through the CTE program. The opportunities that students are already afforded are amazing, and so we would only want to add to that. How can we increase the different programs where they can get licensed when they graduate? How can we increase the different courses where they can get the dual credit courses as well? So I believe what's already in place is amazing. So we would just work on growing that program and adding more opportunities for students based off their interest.
Mr. Thurman, how will you build on TF South's strengths while expanding opportunities like dual credit courses, vocational pathways, and creative programs to prepare students for college, careers, and life beyond high school?
I would first, one of the things I would do would attempt to increase, well, not attempt, I would increase AP access so that all students could have an opportunity to take AP courses. I think that the opportunities that already exist within this building are phenomenal. Really, there is nothing here, there's nothing that you can't do here. So it's just making sure the students are aware of their opportunities, are in the right place. I think also developing partnerships so the students can have internships, because I think that that's something that is often, you know, the barrier to some of our vocational opportunities. So students having internships and being certified and licensed when they leave high school, I think is key. And I think that that would be the way that I would expand vocational pathways. And then I think that with dual credit courses, I think as well, expanding access to dual credit, any student that wants to should be allowed to try, because I think that the willingness and the desire to try is something that should be celebrated and pushed forward.
Thank you. James, how do you use data to guide daily decisions, ensure equity, respond quickly when students or systems are not meeting expectations, and then create measurable growth in academic, behavioral, and social emotional outcomes?
I think data drives everything that I do. I believe in gathering input and data around every single aspect of my work. And then I think, so input around the decision, data around that decision, and then looking at that, taking that input, looking at that data, and then formulating a plan of action. That way you can ensure equity and respond quickly. I think when it comes to student support and systems, what you want to use your data to identify what the actual challenge is within it. And then once you've created a plan, you want to just be refining that plan and consistently checking. So progress monitoring to make sure that you are heading in the right direction. And then I think also if something isn't working, if you're checking it frequently enough, you should be able to identify that it's not working. If it's not, and then decide which way you need to go. Should we scrap this or should we try to improve it in some other way? So, but I think it's consistently looking at data, it's consistently gathering that input, and then reviewing the plan. And that's in all facets.
Lisa, how do you use data to guide daily decisions, ensure equity, respond quickly when students or systems are not meeting expectations, and create measurable growth in academic, behavioral, and social emotional outcomes?
So for students who are not meeting expectations, I would put an early warning system in place so we can identify those students early before they fall too far behind. We want to catch them while we notice they may be at the brink of possibly falling behind. We don't want to wait until they do fall behind, but using a continuous improvement data cycle, and we would use that for all those categories that you mentioned, behavioral, social emotional outcomes, and academic outcomes. With this, we would again review the data and we would look at it by student group, and we would create a goal. We would create action steps about those goals, and we would progress monitor on a 4 to 6 week basis to ensure that we're making the progress that we need based off of the action steps that we put in place. And if we're not, then we may need to revisit that and decide if we need to pivot and go in a different direction. But having that plan, that data cycle in place and that data process to review the data for academics, review the data for behavior. If the goal is for us to reduce referrals by 50%, then what's our plan to do that? We will need to create that as a team and then put the steps in place.
Thank you. As I alluded to earlier when we met ahead of tonight, there were going to be questions that were submitted as our guests entered. So we do have a question for you both. What sort of events will be organized in your care to foster a school community environment that everybody could enjoy? And I can repeat that if you would like, Ms. Manuel. What sort of events will be organized in your care to foster a school community environment that everyone could enjoy?
So I can't say that this is the event that we're going to do, because then it would be an event that I would probably enjoy. I would need to get the input from the school community and see what events they're looking for that are not already in place. And then we would create an event from that perspective, not from my perspective, especially if we're looking at something that's going to be inclusive, then I have to include the student body's voice to identify what that event would be.
Mr. Thurman, did you need me to repeat that question?
No. Events that everyone would enjoy. I think first I would have to review what events are already happening, because there's no need to reinvent the wheel. However, I do think that events that bring families into the building and get parents comfortable with the building and get students comfortable with the building would be the type of events that I would be leaning into. Things like parent proms, sip and paints, but also let's talk about student data, things like that. So everything, I would try to get families into the building, but also as a part of that, we're going to use that as an opportunity to inform families and engage families in what's happening in the building. So while it may be an event that is fun for all, the goal is still the same, to engage everyone to participate in what it is that our community of learners here. And that's what those types of events.
Thank you, Mr. Thurman. We're going to close tonight with Lisa. If you can give us just a 3-minute closure, and I would appreciate that, and I know everyone would here. So we'll start with you, Lisa, and then we'll go ahead to Mr. Thurman.
All right, good evening again. So as I close, I do want to share what guides my leadership. I believe building relationships creates clarity and builds trust. Systems create stability, and shared leadership sustains excellence. To the students in the room, you deserve rigorous instruction, safe spaces to grow, and adults who believe in your potential every single day. My commitment is to ensure that every decision centers on your success. To the staff, you deserve a leader who listens, communicates, and empowers you as instructional experts. I believe in distributive leadership, strong department collaborations, and professional learning that directly impacts classroom practice and student outcomes. To our district leaders and community, you deserve alignment, transparency, and a principal who understands both the complexity and the urgency of high school leadership. I bring a systems mindset, the heart of a mother, and the discipline of a coach, and the perspective of a lifelong learner. I'm ready to build relationships, ready to lead, ready to listen, ready to collaborate, and ready to elevate. Thank you for this opportunity and for the work you do each day for the students at TF South. It would be an honor to serve this community and to help shape what I believe will be a truly legendary story. Thank you.
First, I'd like to say thank you for this opportunity. Secondly, I'd like to say my philosophy for education is a simple one. I believe that high school is one of the most important aspects of American life, and I think that a successful high school career is a huge advancement for any student. I think that what success looks like is different for every student, and I think that every student should have the opportunity to meet success. I think that we should provide supports for those students at every level so that they meet both academic and social success. And I think that those structures are available in this building, and we just need to emphasize them. I think that students who are not given the opportunity to grow socially and emotionally are students who are being given a disadvantage. I think that students should be given the opportunity to express themselves. Students should be given the opportunity to grow and learn at their pace and in their way. I believe that students are best benefited by high quality instruction and high quality instructional materials. I think that teachers are the #1 key to student growth. And that is why one of my main emphasis is always high quality instruction. I want to make sure that every teacher is meeting their student needs deliberately and based on what the data is telling them. What are our students showing us? Therefore, what do teachers need to do? That is how the question works for me. And so in that way, if we're here for student achievement and we're focused on what our students are demonstrating for us, then we should be able to reach that goal consistently and throughout. I'd like to create a sustaining, not even create, I'd like to sustain and grow the success that is already present at TF South. And I'd like to increase opportunities for students to attend 4 universities and for students to be prepared to operate outside of the high school at an advanced level. I want our community and other communities to know that this is a student from TF South. And to know that that's a great and amazing thing. And that is my goal. Thank you.
Well, that concludes our evening with our 2 candidates. We want, as part of the Thornton Fractional High School District 215 leadership team, to thank you for coming out to our TF South Open Forum. We like to thank both of our candidates for also coming out and spending some time with our guests and our community. Everybody have a wonderful evening and take care.